You are the first to dream. In the dream, you are shaping coarse sand with your hands. You lift a handful, and it feels like the shifting of mountains. You drag your fingertip through the dirt to make a twisting line and hear the roar of moving water. You breathe and feel the rush of clean, bright wind in your hair. Suddenly, you are far, far up in the air, higher than you've ever been. You have gone to the very top of Freehold's tallest skyscrapers, but this is much higher, and you see the world below with much greater fidelity. It is a beautiful green world, much greener than any place you've ever seen before. It looks like home. Welcome everyone to a little video about the new lore book, Constellations. This book has a lot of very interesting info, but I want to highlight aspects about this book and explain a little bit of what I understand of this book to you. Starting off with the lore entry Dreaming, we notice that the info is in two parts. And I believe that anything said in this book within the brackets is the will, or at very least the thoughts or impressions of the traveler itself. It goes as follows. I am the first to dream. The dreams can happen at any time. A veil drops in front of my eyes and I see strange moving images. I am someone else, or I am myself reimagined. I can't say. In the dreams, I shape planets with my own hands. At first, I believe I am mad. The clinicians at Braywell call it interplanetary relocation maladjustment psychosis. A psychobabble catch-all for mental disturbances that they can't explain. Other people searching for certainty call it prophecy. But all I can offer is a loose, tangled connection that I painstakingly unravel when I dream. I am drawn to a bright and attentive star. I speak to it through movement, through feeling. It understands implicitly. Now I stand before a crowd. Their murmuring is the bone-deep rumble of shifting tectonic plates. A screen behind me plays looping, blurry footage of the traveler terraforming Venus. The images radiate with pale light. We've watched this footage many times. I glide through space as if through water, tugged in 9 directions by 9 impulses. In front of the crowd, I sway a little, a copse of trees bending in a dream wind. I can't help it. I'm dreaming more often than not. There is whispering from the deep dark, alluring and terrifying, a reminder of things left behind, bittersweet and abhorrent. A crackle of static on the screen behind me brings me back to Earth, resettling my feet firmly on the ground. These people have come here for my insights. I lean forward and speak to the crowds. 4 tenets, aching with truth. The traveler is a force of benevolence. The traveler is a sentient being with free will, dreams, hopes, and fears. The traveler will save us. The traveler will leave us. In the lore book Constellations, there are quite a few chapters. We're not going to go over every single chapter, but we're going to go over and talk about some of the main points that I'd like to highlight for this video. And those chapters throughout are very interesting. The chapters severing, waking, longing, singing, building, growing, searching, and suffering. Now, I think that these all prove something that has been spoken of before, but never really fully elucidated on. Namely, that there are multiple speakers, and that being a speaker isn't something that is per a singular person, but rather an order of people. You have the speaker who witnesses the end of the world. You have the speaker that's the first one to see a ghost. You have the speaker that is the first to be taken prisoner. And you have the first speaker to never dream. And it's really interesting because throughout these lore books, it speaks about what it means to be a speaker. And it shows that speakers are people that are connected to the traveler in a way that we don't fully understand. And one thing that I'd like to point out is that during the Red War, during Gaul's interrogation/torture of the speaker says that he speaks for the traveler, but never that the traveler actually speaks to him. Which I think was sort of a misleading half-truth. Because as we see throughout these lore books, this traveler isn't speaking to anybody. He is giving visions, dreams, these feelings, these concepts. And those concepts, I think, the speaker may be feeling fairly guilty about, as we discover later in the Constellations book. However, there are some very, very interesting things, though, that I think we need to discuss. I am the first speaker to never dream. At least, I think that's true. In the days following the collapse, any speakers who survived were scattered to the wind, traveling with groups of refugees across the ruined wasteland that Earth became. Aside from the man who taught me, I've never met another speaker in my life. For all I know, I'm the last one alive. Before the collapse, speakers were chosen for their ability to hear the traveler through detailed, lucid dreams. Since the dreams have stopped, there are other signs. Ghosts follow us. When we do dream, we see a strange and blinding white light. We are prone to headaches. My mentor couldn't teach me how to interpret dreams, so he taught me in hypotheticals. I had to imagine what the dreams might be like. I had to speculate why the traveler might come back to us and when. Like all speakers, I memorized the 4 tenets. The traveler is good. The traveler is sentient. The traveler will save us. The traveler will leave us. Sometimes I worry the traveler has already left us. My mentor died of a wasting sickness 2 years ago, and I've tried to live as his replacement. But where he was a living memory of when the traveler awake, I have only his memories, secondhand, imperfectly understood. I can't give answers. I can't make the traveler speak. Or at least, I couldn't. For weeks, I've worked in secret on a project, gathering scrap metal and old broken things left over from the time before. I've cobbled it together, tinkered with the mix of strange and half-understood technology, tried to calibrate it to my needs. A long time ago, long before the collapse, astrophysicists recorded sounds from the planets in our solar system and turned them into music. They translated plasma waves and radio emissions into eerie musical rumbles, roars, whistles, and hisses. The traveler makes sounds too. Speakers have listened to its music for many years in the forms of dreams. Carefully, lovingly, I build a mask, an amplifier. No one knows about it but me. I won't get their hopes up, even though mine are sky high as I put the finishing touches on it. It's not beautiful like our old technology was. It is scuffed and bent and rusted, like everything we own now. But if I'm right, if I can do this, it will do beautiful things. I can't bear to fail. I have failed at everything else so far. When I'm finished, I wear the mask. Pieces of it, not sounded down, are rough and sharp against my face. But I dream for the first time in my life. I have cried out unheard for so long that my voice is raw. The next lore entry is growing. And it goes as follows. You are waiting for something to happen. You are suspended and weightless, but so heavy in your heart. You have a child's voice, quiet, easily lost in a crowd. You try to shout and be heard, but there is only one little star in a sea of thousands that can hear you. It only understands a fraction of your words, but it tries, and that has to be enough. Life goes on beyond your control as it always has. That is the curse of your creation. The things you build are not your own. And then, another star blinks into existence. Now, this is all well and good, but what does this mean? Well, as we've discovered, these stars that the traveler is capable of seeing are speakers. These are the people that have the ability to hear and to comprehend the traveler's will. And there is only one little star there that can hear you, and it barely understands you. So that means that there's only one speaker, and he openly has admitted that he doesn't fully understand what you're saying. But then another star blinks into existence. Now that means that there is another out there. There is another person out there in the world of Destiny that is capable of understanding and listening to the star, and it was just created. Now, what does that mean? Well, we don't really know. We don't fully understand yet what that could mean. We don't have enough information. However, it's really important that we look at the time period of when this is all happening. In the lore book Growing, at the very end, you discovered that this light blinking into existence is happening at the same time that they are forming the consensus. So this is really all at the beginning of the city. This isn't after Destiny 1's events. This is at the beginning of those events. And that's big. I think that's really big, and I think that there's a lot to that. Somewhere, the other tiny star is calling out. You try to answer, but it cannot hear you. Not without help. You want to help, but you are paralyzed. Your limbs are crushed and your heart beats so slowly. You've never known weakness so intimately as you do now. You can only wait. Now, what I think is really cool here is the fact that everyone is looking for a new speaker. The speaker is looking for a new speaker. He's looking for someone to hand the mantle down to, but he doesn't know. He can't find this person. However, the traveler has found that person, but the traveler has been unable to reach out to that person and to let them know that, hey, you're the new speaker. Now, this is all going to lead me to a little bit of a hypothesis. Now, everything to this point is factual, and from this point on, we're going to be talking about something that is purely speculative on my point. And I cannot say that this is the truth, of course, so take everything from here out with a grain of salt, and maybe put on an aluminum hat, because this might get a little bit of spinfoily theory here, so bear with me here. So let's real quickly talk a little bit about this speaker. What are the things we know about him? What can we say for sure, and what can we hypothesize on? Well, first let's talk about the 3 symptoms. So the 3 symptoms of being a speaker are that you have unlinked ghosts that could potentially fly around near you, blinding white lights every time that you dream, and headaches. Now, two other things that we know about about this next speaker, excuse me, is that they began near the beginning of the consensus. That's when their light first kind of winked into existence. Or at least, I should say, was noticed. We also know, too, that they've been trying to be reached out to from the Traveler for quite some time, but for various reasons, maybe the Traveler being weak, it can't quite get to them. So, perhaps for a little bit more elucidation, let's boot up the game and let's see if we can't figure out who this person could be. Jeez, I can't even see the screen! It's blinding me. Oh, it's so loud! Dude, oh man, I'm gonna have a headache for sure now. Oh. Can we get to this next screen? See what I'm saying, people? Now, my extreme tinfoil theory about this whole thing is that we, the Guardian, are in a way the next speaker. We don't really know exactly the exact time period of when our original Guardian was born, before he became a Guardian. So there is potential that our Guardian could have been born at the time of the founding of the consensus, and therefore could be potentially maybe this next speaker. Every time we boot up the game, we're blinded by the light. We get headaches because we play the game for so dang much time, and it's just so awesome. It just gives us these crazy headaches. And, yeah, I mean, come on. We are the only people that have ever had visions from the Traveler, right? And we were the first person that it reached out to. So, yeah. Well, anyway, thank you guys all for dealing with my little spinfoil theory there. But who do you guys think could potentially be the next speaker? And do we think that that speaker is still around? And do you think that we'll find them? Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.